So, Reverend Canon Chris, you just told me that you went from two services, where one service is a service for young people and then a service for like adults with children and families, to one service
Yeah.
where young people, children, adult, everybody is in that place. I want to know, what has that been like for you, one as a pastor, but also what has that been like for your members? Like,
Yeah.
what challenges exist? What do you see happening
Yeah.
with this transition?
Yeah, so it happened because we felt really compelled that we had to reflect our life with young people, and that doing things with young people was different than doing them for them,
That's right.
or at them, or to them. And so if we were truly going to do it with young people, we needed to have young people at the heart of everything we did. Now, the implications of that on this one service have been vast. So firstly, timing. We meet at 2:00 on a Sunday afternoon because our young people aren't up in the morning. But that means that some people whose babies sleep at 2:00 in the afternoon, it's been really tough for. And the fact that we had to make a decision, or I had to make a decision, on the time of service, so it would be a time that it would be most likely to get everybody in the same building, was really tough for these people because it was not convenient for them. So we're not going on convenience then. So even in terms of timing, you defer. So my take is that when a church gathers together, there are certain things that we do, and those things are done because church has always done those things. And but then we do those things in a way that is authentic to the Christian tradition, and authentic to these people here and who we are. So if you come to St. Laurence as a visitor, you should know after two services that we are a church which have this particular mission amongst young people, with young people. And you should know that not because somebody tells you it, but because you see it. And so that needs to be reflected in how we worship together. And so that's reflected in what happens when we sing. And so one of our rules of thumb is that there are always young people involved in the worship band. That means that participation is really high for us and joining in. For us, we're quite Eucharistic, which means that I think we've got a low Eucharistic practice in terms of its chaos, but we've got a high Eucharistic theology in terms of this is really vital. This meal around this table makes us. And we do that all together. So children, young people, adults, this is something that's all inclusive. Then what often happens at St. Laurence, 3 Sundays out of 4, is the children will go to groups. So all the children under the age of 12 will go, there'll be particular groups for them. And then we'll have what usually could have been called a sermon. Now, that's been a real struggle for us, because do you preach a sermon that your adults is pitched at your adults who've been in church for 10 years, 15 years? Do you take your young people to another part of the building and they have something for them and I do something for the adults? It's been a real, how do you work this one out? We've recently come on, we need to all hear the word of God together, and it needs to be in such a way that it's pitched towards a teenager and it's participatory. And for me, that's been a great challenge, because I really love speaking to adults, and it's been it's a stretch for me that I enjoy. I enjoy preparing like that, but I realised for me that not wanting to give that up, that was, if I'm probably honest, I think it was an idolatry of mine. It was I've got to do this. This is my thing. This is what I do, and people like it when I do this. But actually, this isn't what this body needed. This body needed to have me and the other people who have got the vocation of bringing the word of God to this body. It's our absolute commitment to try and wrestle with, here's the word of God and here are these people, and how do these people hear the word of God to them? How do they do that? These very people who are sat in front of me. So it's a great stretch for us, and it would be utterly wrong of me to say that we were ideal, we were good at it, it was easy, or that we had it cracked. It is a real struggle for us, but we're committed to it. And this is our direction of travel. We feel that this is the only thing that we're called to in terms of together in our corporate worship, is to be a body who reflect the very things that we say we're for, which is that we are a church living to see young people come to faith and building new forms of church with them.